our next guest, they sit sort of sitting in the middle, so they're comfortable. But they've got a very good insight into both what is happening at the top and what is happening at the bottom. And it's an absolute pleasure to bring back to the show an old favourite of the show, an old friend of our show, Chris Greachin, the coach of the Eastern Lions. Chris, good evening and welcome back to the Football Out West show. How are you?
G'day, guys. Thanks for having me on again. Second time this season.
Yes.
Really appreciate it. It's an absolute pleasure. Thanks very much.
Pleasure.
Just looking at some of the comments, my childhood club was George Cross, and just seeing them really power up the rankings in NPL3 is a great thing to see. Such a big club, and I see Peter Cowkey and Mark Sultana make a few comments there, and I wish them all the best, and hopefully they can move up into NPL2 next year, which they look set for. So big shout out to Sunshine Georgies.
Yeah, it's certainly been an impressive debut season in the NPL3 competition for them, coming straight off their promotion from last year. Actually, we mentioned the game tomorrow night in NPL2, just touching on your competition, Bulleen Lions and Pascoe Vale. You've got Pascoe Vale next week on Friday night, a short turnaround for them. Will you be making the trip out to watch them tomorrow night?
I generally like the live stream with two young kids. My wife doesn't really allow me too much flexibility outside of my commitments at Eastern Lions.
Sounds sensible.
So we do have one of the lads will go out and have a look, but I'll be happy watching that on the laptop in bed. I like you've said, guys, from the start. I think you mentioned this after about 5 or 6 rounds. You know, when we last spoke, this league is just ridiculous. It just cannot get a take on it. Being involved in it, it's been so exciting, but you just do not know what you're going to get week in, week out. You go to each ground, and you've just got absolutely no idea what to expect from not only your own side, but the opposition. It's been crazy.
Yeah, it's just like, you don't want the season to end, quite frankly. I mean, there's 3 games to go, but it's just that climactic. And I don't know about you, Steve, but every Sunday, I must admit, I look at the NPL2 and have a special spot for that because of you just don't know as you said, Chris, you just don't know what to expect. But look, you've got a good insight at both ends of the competition standings. I'll bring that ladder up. Let's look at the top first of all. Who do you think will end up there being the top 2 teams to get promoted into the NPL? Because at the moment, there's really a battle for the top 2 between the top 3 sides. Look, Manningham United and Preston Lions are thereabouts, mathematically still with a chance. But Manningham have made a real late surge of late, whereas Preston Lions are really struggling. But Chris, what's your take on it? Who do you think out of all those, let's say, top 5 sides will be the top 2 that will get promoted to next year's NPL Victoria competition?
Yeah, look, us as a club at Eastern Lions, we've really struggled this year against the A-League youth sides. We haven't picked up a point out of the 4 games against those sides, so that's certainly something we need to look into. And for me, Western United are probably the team that really troubled us on both occasions. We struggled to manufacture a clear goal-scoring opportunity in both games. And I'm not 100% sure in their running, but I reckon they've got probably, again, you can't call any game easy, but from memory, I think they've got probably the best running that you could wish for. So, I don't know, my money would be on them to be one of the 2. And if you could pick the other one, I think, you may as well go and buy a Tats Lotto ticket because it's a free-for-all. I still wouldn't count out Preston. I think they've got, a load of experience. I know from a points perspective, they don't look to be in the hunt, but I'd never write them off. They're a powerhouse. They've got, depth within the side. So, and if you look at the top 2, I believe they've got quite a difficult run in as well. So, Western for me, and then it could be any one of 4 for the next for the other spot.
Yeah, well, if we look at the fixtures for next week, we've got Dandenong City on Friday night hosting Northcote City, and that's going to be a really good game. But it's the big one is Western United hosting Kingston City on Saturday night, 5 p.m. at the City Vista Pavilion. Now, wow, they don't get any bigger than that. And as you said, look, if Western, like, things could change so dramatically Western United win, Dandenong City win, Kingston City all of a sudden from being top drop down to third spot. And if Manningham United win, they'll be 1 point behind, or what? They'll be 3 points behind Kingston City, who would then be in third place. Now, if Kingston City win, Dandenong City win, Western United are about 4 points off the pace. So, look, let's not throw the permutations and combinations of draws and all of that kind of stuff, but every week throws like an absolute blockbuster, doesn't it?
Oh, absolutely. Like, I mean, the big disappointment from us is probably yesterday that, we felt that we had a huge chance of being in that top mix right up until, and I still wouldn't count it out, but, that's been the fascinating part of this comp. We addressed our players after about round 9 or 10, and I vividly remember my assistant coach turning around and saying, you'll probably, we've blown 2 or 3 opportunities up until now. You'll probably get one more. And we're now discussing in the team talk before yesterday's game that we've had another 4 chances beyond that, and we were still a live hope and still are, but probably to a very small degree. But it's just amazing how many opportunities have presented themselves. It's almost like no one wants to put their hand up to go up and delve into what Tommy Gavrin's going through at the moment, who's a good friend of mine as well. So yeah, it's been an amazing year.
And Chris, on the course of the year as well, has there been a moment or something in particular that's been the most pleasing aspect for you as a coach out at Eastern Lions?
Yeah, look, I think we, as a club, just rebuilding in general, the club's expectation was never to, albeit everyone wants to get promoted and win leagues, but I think for the Eastern Lions, it's more about being stabilising things both on and off the park after a pretty traumatic year last year. I think we went on a run. We got beat at Kingston 5-1 on a Monday night. I think I spoke to you guys not long after that game. 3 days later, we backed up against Northcote. We lost 4-1. And then 3 days later, we beat Green Gully in the Cup and went on a run of 7 out of 8 games we won. I think Brunswick City were the only team to beat us over a 7-week period. So I think without isolating, or looking at a game individually, it was that run of 7 weeks where we were able to beat Green Gully in the Cup. We beat Preston away. We beat Dandy City at home. So there's been a few highlights, but really the main aim is really just to stay in this league. And that's certainly not out the question either at the moment. Like, we're still battling relegation, even though if we win our game in hand, we're within 3 or 4 points at the top. So it's incredible.
Now, one of our viewers makes an interesting comment. Tony Hudson, he says, not sure RE NPL2 quality anymore when 2 games shipped in 16 goals. Now, one of those games was the Werribee City Melbourne City game. That was 4-4. But the performance of the super sub, Lewis Bamford, he scored a goal scored a goal in the 48th minute, then the 61st, then the 73rd, then the 76th. It's like a one-man goal-scoring machine there. Chris, I mean, all right, maybe, I don't know about the quality. You can answer that about the quality, but definitely the entertainment factor, whether it's games being played for promotion or games being played for relegation, or as that Werribee City Melbourne City game suggests, just full stop games. It's incredible. The level of entertainment being provided is amazing. But what's your take on that comment about the quality of the competition?
Yeah, I've got a big criticism over the defensive abilities across the leagues, to be honest, or across our league in particular. There are a lot of goals shipped week to week, and I still think there's a bit of a gap with our players in terms of their ability to defend, particularly 1v1 scenarios, and that sort of defensive IQ of the game, which effectively leads to a lot of goals being scored. I don't know if that's maybe been a little bit harsh, but that's my critique on what I've been seen thus far. But certainly, again, talking about that, like, I looked at the result as soon as we finished our game yesterday, and we played Werribee the week before. We won 1-0. There was not much in it. There was probably a chance or two either way. To see like 8 goals scored in a Melbourne City, like it again, it's just, I was in disbelief. Just the fact that from one week where there's no chances created and the same team go out and score 4 against one of the better teams in the league, Melbourne City.
Yeah.
Again, it just, nothing adds up. So, but certainly
That's the best way of describing it.
I just really love that everyone, you guys in the media and all the rest of it love it, because from a coach's perspective, I'm going to need to see like a cardiologist by the end of the season. It's not the same fun from the coach's box.
No, I believe that.
I totally believe that. Having been at a few MPL2 games at Preston this season, the coach technical area is right in front of the broadcast position. It's a tense place to be, possibly more tense than the NPL one, that's for sure. But looking at the squad this season, how have you managed to go getting a team on the park every week? Have you haven't seen you guys play firsthand myself, unfortunately, but have you had to battle injury? Has it seen a chance for youngsters to come in out of that good youth system that you've got out there at Eastern Lions?
Yeah, look, we retained 6 players from last season. We brought in the crux of 12 or 13 new players, a couple from overseas, a couple from interstate. So, the rebuild was quite good. But, our season, in the sense of within 10 minutes against Dandy City, we lost a player to suspension for 11 weeks. And he was one of our main focal points up front. 10 minutes later, our other focal point went down with a hamstring injury. He's since returned to New Zealand. So, with a club like Eastern Lions, you don't have the capacity to go out and spend on 16, 18, 20 experienced players. So, when you do lose 1 or 2 key focal players, it really does have an impact on your results, and we felt that. We've really felt that. We do have a young side, so we are trying to sort of bleed some of the youth through the system, but at the same time, it's very difficult in such a tough league to be able to get that balance. I feel we're safe now, mathematically, almost. So it's trying to get that blend where it would have been lovely to be safe 3 or 4 weeks ago, where we could start to, blend some of the youth in and expose them to that senior footy. But it's a real tough task to try and get that balance.
Yeah, look, there's only 3 games to go, and I guess once kind of mathematically you're safe, is there a case then of giving some of the youngsters, some of the talented players an opportunity to step up, and is that what you do, or what situation you're in at the moment? Do you just try and play your best team every week leading up to the very, very last round?
Yeah, I mean, from my point of view, we want to win every game, Tone. It doesn't matter where you are. My sort of goal at the start of the season from a personal point of view was to finish in the top 4. So how that pans out, that's still sort of one of my goals, and I really want to work to that. But if you can blend some youth in at the same time, and expose them to that senior environment and finish, meet your targets, I think there's nothing better in football than to be able to sort of execute that. But we'll certainly be going out to win every game. We still are a chance. We've got a game in hand against Northcote in the catch-up round. So, that gets us, if we're able to win that, which is going to be another very, very tough game. I think Northcote are one of the better sides, more experienced sides in the league as well. But if we can win that, we're within 4 points of that second spot. So I certainly wouldn't be writing anything off at this point in time. But if we can, if we can bleed some youth in there, it would be really, really positive from my point of view.
Yeah.
For sure. Always good to be able to do that. Now, Chris, a question on another topic altogether. The Doherty Cup final coming up between Oakley and Heidelberg at Kingston Heath Reserve. There's a few question marks as to whether that's the best venue or not. Is there, in your opinion, is that something we should be playing there? Have you got a favourite ground that you noticed this season that it'd be good to play it at, or is Kingston Heath a good option?
Yeah, I don't know. Look, I haven't really paid too much attention. I haven't really watched firsthand too many Bentley games this season, but from speaking to a couple of players who played there last weekend, they weren't sort of talking of the pitch and the surface as what it was like, what we know Bentley Greens to be, Kingston Heath. So, yeah, I'm not sure I would be a big fan of that, but I've always been a big fan of South Melbourne's pitch growing up. I used to watch them there at Bob Jane all the time, so I think that's probably our staple, stadium to watch a game at. But yeah, I haven't paid much attention to.
I was going to add a qualifier and say, assuming that South Melbourne is not available due to World Cup training commitments.
Yeah, and Heidelberg, I guess, as well. Yeah,
and Heidelberg, yeah. Well, Eastern Lions is always a chance, but there's there's a few like sort of little hills that in each corner. So if you can battle with that, we can host if it's daytime.
Why not? Why not? Hey, why not? Now, on our comment section, we've got a couple of interesting comments. Brenton Ray, thank you. He's the newsman. He says NPL 2 stream game next weekend is the blockbuster Western United and Kingston City. The NPL 3 stream game next weekend is the Nunawading City and Goulburn Valley Suns. But our esteemed colleague and who's also been on this show as a co-host as well, Mark Ivkovic, he's got a very nice thing to say about you, Chris. He says, I think Chris has done an exceptional job this season, took over a struggling squad and completely turned things around. A young coach on the rise. So, mate, you're getting a lot of pundits there who are in the know saying some very, very positive things about you. So, mate, on that note, we wish you all the very best, not just for the rest of this season, but your future coaching endeavours as well. And, it's great to see what you have done at Eastern Lions this year. And we certainly look forward to following your fortunes in coming seasons as well.
Boys, thank you. It's a pleasure, Mark. Thank you very much for the token comment there. Look, it's been a great season. I've really enjoyed sort of being enthralled in this NPL setup for the first year at senior level anyway.
Yeah.
I've been involved in the state leagues for a few years and just been able to work with players that have got that next level of commitment and just the resourcing and all the rest of it. Just fantastic to be able to even walk out onto a pitch and be sort of, up against, good coaches and experienced coaches, your Louis Asevskis, your Nick Tolios, these type of guys. It really is an honour to be out on the same pitch as them. So, Mark, thank you very much. And boys, thanks very much for having me again.
Chris, before we let you go, you've said you've had, extensive experience at state league level, but as a coach, and this is the one last question, I guess. As a coach, what's the difference in commitment level, time, I guess, and the resources needed to allocate to being a coach in the NPL 2 compared to some of the state league clubs you've been coaching at in the past?
Yeah, it's a good question. You sort of go from carrying drink bottles out to the ground, and picking up all your cones to all of a sudden you're managing sort of 6 to 8 people. From that in itself has got a huge time output. Video people to analysts to physios so just the management of people in itself is a task in itself. The team of people. I think our sort of group that is on the message group is like 35 people. But in terms of analysing games and because so many games are streamed and different things, I'm fortunate I've got a job that has got a bit of flexibility, so I can spend quite a bit of time. But I dare say you're spending sort of 25 to 30 hours on the game.
Wow.
Whether that be sort of organising sessions or looking at a team that we're playing the following week or looking at our own game and breaking that down. It's a huge commitment.
Wow.
Yeah, you're literally working 2 jobs there, so you've got to love it. You've got to have a desire to be living and breathing football, and that's what you do very well, Chris. And make sure you take a good break in the off season, of course, and come back even better next year. But keep up the great work, and thanks for coming on the show and being a serial offender coming on the second time this season.
No worries. I look forward to another time next season, guys. And
sounds good.
I'm certainly looking forward to that break, I'll tell you.
Yeah, spend some time with your young family. That's for sure. Good on you.
Good on you guys. All the best.
Thanks, Chris. Bye.
Chris Greachin, there from Eastern Lions. Not only is he a great coach, but a wonderful, wonderful bloke as well. So
just a really nice guy. I'm not sure how he goes if he has to give them a spray at half time. I struggle to picture it, but I'm sure some of the players and backroom staff have seen it a few times this season.